Afternoon, students, parents. This is Richard, Jonesboro Taekwondo Do-San Hyung. Going to go a little further with the basic techniques videos, stepping up to the blocks. So we're going to do 4 basic blocks and then modification of the outside block that we use in the 4th form. So we're just going to demonstrate each of those, talk a little bit about those, and you can watch that and apply it to your training. Okay, so for blocking, as they'll say if you're watching a lot of YouTube and that, pretty much any block can also be a strike. So keep in mind that as you're throwing it. You know, your low block would defend against something coming in from down below the belt, high block from up above, and your inside and outside, usually for something that's coming straight at you. So what we're going to go over is the low block, the high block, the inside block, and the outside block or outer forearm block. And then we're going to go over a modification of that outside block. So start, might as well sit in a horse stance because that's a good way to train it. We'll start with a low block, coming in against maybe a low kick or a low strike. We're going to remember to get our pelvis involved in this and add that to the torque. We're going to start palm in, up here by our cheekbone, and cross the arm across your lower abdomen, okay? And as we set, we're going to twist back into it and drop this down right above our knee on the same side, and pulling back to punch position on this side. So we're going to cross, uncross, flipping our hand over at the last instant. So that's your low block. Don't forget to get your hip snap involved in there, okay? Now if we're going to go from there to the high block, a retreating hand is going to come to the inside, blocking hand, across the abdomen, and it rolls up, snapping over at the last instant. Okay, so your pull back hand comes back again to punch position, and your blocking hand goes up high. Okay, get a nice slant to deflect whatever's coming down. You have a flat roof, it's going to push your hand back into your own face. You want something where the blow will glance off. Okay, so if we're going to use this as a strike, it's pretty obvious this would be along the lines of like a hammer fist to the groin, where that could go straight up into the neck. Okay, so it's useful as a strike and it's useful as a block. So go from there. In Chunji, we learn the outer forearm block or outside block. Okay, for that one, we're going to chamber palm down on our opposite side hip and bring the reaction force hand, as we used to call it, or pull back hand, across the front. And when we come out, we're going to draw from palm down at the last instant, rolling over so we hit with this radius bone over here. So this is a middle outer forearm block or outside block. Okay. Okay, and we're going to add our hip snap to it, pop it out. It's going to stop at or maybe right outside of your same side shoulder. Okay. Now, what you're blocking is going to come across here. So you see, you're going through whatever it is that you're blocking. Okay. Rooting to the ground, get your hip snap, roll over at the last instant. Okay. So that's your outside block or outer forearm block. Okay. Then we convert from there to the inside block. Okay, so your outside block comes from inside to outside. Your inside block comes from outside to inside. And it's going to stop in front of this opposite shoulder here. Okay, striking with the ulna bone. Okay, thus, and really get your hip snap into that. Of course, your retreating hands pulling back to your ribs on this side. Okay, so this is inside block, this is outside block or outer forearm block. Okay, so we've got those. Now we've got one that we call outside block with the inner forearm. So we're calling this ulna bone the inner forearm, radius bone outer forearm. So that makes perfect sense to me because in anatomical position, okay, if you're studying anatomy, got your outside, okay, and you have your inside, okay. There are other terms for that. That's an easy way to help it to make sense. So when we get to your third form, you're going to do an outside block going inside to outside with your inner forearm, okay. So it's going to start palm up, okay, and it's thrown in. First time you throw it in your forearms, it's going to be in a front stance. So I'm going to sit in a front stance here. It rolls over from palm up to palm down, striking with this, okay, with the ulna bone, okay. Go from either side, and when you finish, it's palm out as opposed to palm in on the outer forearm block, okay. Outside block with the inner forearm, that's a mouthful, needs a different name. Outside block or outer forearm block. So inner forearm block, outer forearm block, inside block. It can be a little confusing, but that's why it needs to be standardized. Okay, so explain the inner and outer forearm aspect of it. Well, why would we do that? You remember I said that every block could be a strike. And there's ways that this one could be a strike, and this is a heavier bone here, okay? But on this block, it's kind of hard to twist that around and get a decent strike on anything but an arm, maybe a leg, but it's a little awkward. You flip this side around, and it makes it really easy. So if I catch somebody's arm here, and I slide down like I would with a hammer fist, and hit with that bone to the side of the neck, it makes for a very effective weapon. Someone's throwing strikes at me, say haymaker or just a straight punch from the outside, I block with the ulnar bone. This also lends really easily to just opening my hand and grabbing. So this is a really nice block, okay? So you notice in Do-San, when you open up, you do that block, and then your hand retreats as you throw a reverse punch. So think of that as a block, pull them into your punch, okay? So that hopefully will help you understand that particular block a little bit, okay? All right, so review. From horse stance, you've got your low block, snapping palm up to palm down as you reach just over your knee, okay? Your high block, retreating hand on the inside, roll up like a windshield or a window shutter, snap up, and you might spring a little bit of your body weight into that strike, depending on what you're doing, okay? Slanted roof, strikes with the ulnar bone. Low block, strikes with the ulnar bone. Inside block, you can really see how this would be a good attack weapon as well. Strikes with the ulnar bone. And outside block, strikes with a heavier radius bone. So that's your basic 4 blocks plus 1, okay? You'll go through all of those in white and yellow belt, and hopefully you can look at the video, put that into your mind when you're not in here, and apply it when you get here. Okay, thank you for listening.